The 14A District Court for County of Washtenaw, State of Michigan is now back in session. All those having business before the court draw near. The Honorable Judge J. Cedric Simpson presiding.
And good morning once again. Court does call the case of the People versus Christopher Kelly. Counsel, state your appearances, please.
Caitlin Kirby on behalf of the people.
Sylvana Reed, Assistant Public Defender with and on behalf of Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kelly, could you please unmute and state your name for the record?
Yeah, my name is Christopher Levante Kelly, Jr.
And do you have video available?
I really don't know how to work this, so I'm not sure. It's not showing me video.
He does have video because we saw him before. And so he'll need to, I don't know if he's in a dark room or where he is. Because the video's on and I see things moving, but there's no light. Yes, he has to come into the light. Okay, there he goes.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Your Honor, this is the date.
Go ahead.
This is the date and time set for a bench trial. At this time, the people are ready to proceed.
Your Honor, I do understand that it is very unlikely that my request will be granted. However, I would like to request an adjournment in this matter. Mr. Kelly and I have been discussing over the last few days this case, and unfortunately, he has not wanted to disclose certain pieces of information that would be helpful for us moving forward in trial. Again, I do understand that it is very unlikely that my request will be granted, but I do think that it is in his best interest for me to request an adjournment.
Okay, that's odd. There is certain information that he has not disclosed to you.
And
that is correct.
Your Honor, my understanding of this is when Ms. Reed was trying to speak to her client and talk about his possible testimony today, that he was refusing to answer her questions and or tell her his idea of his defense, but that he would do it today. So this trial has been, we adjourned this at the final settlement conference level for many times. My victim is present. And if you recall, the people did offer to do a 5-year PPO and a disorderly, and that's how we would resolve this case. And it's my understanding that Mr. Kelly does not want to avail himself of that offer. And my victim, Ms. Carter, the only thing that she is really wanting for this is for Mr. Kelly to leave her alone and to not speak to her. I don't believe that we are disagreeing on facts today. I think that Mr. Kelly understands his behavior, but doesn't understand that it is malicious and annoying and harassing to the victim.
All right. Let me see counsel in chambers, please. Yes. Okay. All right. Record should reflect we had a bench conference in this case, and I think we're ready to proceed to trial. Opening statements.
Your Honor, the people would waive opening.
Any objection, Ms. Reed?
No objection, and I would also waive my opening.
All right. You may call your first witness.
People would call Cassandra Carter.
Hi, I'm President.
All right. Ms. Carter, can you please raise your right hand?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. State your name again for the record, please.
Cassandra Carter.
Okay. You may inquire, Ms. Kirby.
Ms. Carter, do you recall the dates of January 1st, 2014 to January 20th of 2021?
Yes, those are all dates that was the first time I was contacted that I have record of from Chris on Facebook, I believe, on the January of 2014. And then similar thing as far as January 20th.
And where were you when some of these contacts were made? If you can.
The last time, because I can remember that a little more clearly than 2014. I was at home. I was at home with my boyfriend. I had just checked because I had some message come into like my unfiltered box on Instagram, and so I checked it, and it was a message from Christopher. Well, it was several messages from Christopher.
Ms. Carter, I'm going to stop you really briefly. And you said you were at home. What city or township is that in?
Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Okay. Are you referring to the Oak Valley Drive apartment?
Yes. Why would you ask me specifically for the address?
Okay, let's do it this way. She's asking for a reason, Ms. Carter.
Yeah.
Are you, you're a resident of Pittsfield Township?
Yes.
Okay, that's what we need to know. She has to establish venue. Ms. Kirby, go ahead.
I was at a different address when the stuff started. I'm here now. So.
No, that's fine. It's just she has to establish venue, that it occurred in the venue that we're hearing the case in. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead, Ms. Kirby.
And Ms. Carter, these are the questions that we spoke about. I have to make a record so that the judge understands.
Okay, that's fine.
And when you were receiving these messages, through what were you receiving them from?
So it was mainly through Facebook. The last one that came through, it was because, like, to my Instagram, it was because Facebook and Instagram did this weird like merger. So if you send messages from like one of the app, it'll come into like your other box as well. Like that's how I think that. So those are the main ways I was contacted during this case. Even though he was told not to have contact with me, he still did go ahead and make a whole new actual Instagram page. So this is on another site, and proceeded to like monitor my stories until I reported that to you guys as well.
And when you say he, who are you referring to?
Christopher Kelly, yes.
And do you see Christopher Kelly on your Zoom gallery?
Yeah, I see him.
Okay, and can you identify a piece of clothing that he's wearing?
He has on a black do-rag and a black t-shirt.
Okay, let the record reflect that this witness has identified the defendant as Christopher Kelly.
Record shall so reflect without objection.
Thank you. And these messages that you received, Ms. Carter, what were the contents of them?
This last time it was pretty angry. It started with stuff like, I'm not shit, I'm not gonna be shit. That the only thing he did wrong was love me since 2011. And then he would go back and be like, I'm sorry, I love you. And then he'd be like fuck you, bitch. Like it was just like going back and forth. I think that was when he sent the photo of the girl.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you really briefly.
Yes.
And how did these messages, when you received them, make you feel?
It was scary. And it's confusing, honestly. I don't understand what the fixation is. I really don't. I mean, like the last time I've seen this person or dealt with this person, I was like 15 years old. I'm 34 now. This is beyond ridiculous.
And so you said you felt scared?
Yes, it's terrifying. I mean, like the fact that it's such a fixation. When that actually happened that day, I had my boyfriend call him because he had put his number in there and was telling me to call him. And I felt like maybe because I've tried so many other ways to make him leave me alone, I felt like maybe like another man would, like kind of scare him off and like get the message through kind of thing. And
Ms. Carter, I'm going to stop you so I can ask you some more pointed questions.
Yes.
And so when you felt scared, have you felt scared since 2014 from these messages, or when did you start feeling scared?
Like in the beginning, like it was just kind of like weird at first. And then I think when I really started getting like scared, and I had actually tried to even get a PPO in the past, was I think it was like 2018. It was when I got like the most messages from him. Like it was like that year, for whatever reason, it was like it was just all the time. And I remember I tried to get a PPO, but they wanted to go to a hearing, and I just refused to be in the same room with him. So I was like, I just dropped it. And then I've tried it again since we've been in this case as well, because I desperately want a PPO against this person.
And Ms. Carter, at any time did you want Mr. Kelly to be contacting you?
No. And the thing is like, if you look at any records, I've never made any attempt to contact this person either. There's no phone calls, MySpace, Instagram, Facebook. You can go Black Planet. I mean, like, we can go all the way back. I have no interest whatsoever.
And when you say that you didn't want him to be contacting you, did you have him blocked on any of the social media accounts?
Yeah, I blocked all the pages I could find. And every time he contacted me, that's how it kind of started out. Like, I just like kind of ignored it for a while, and I would just block the pages when they come up. I wouldn't even respond. But I did that. I mean, probably over 20 times. He just makes a new page, or he just comes to Instagram, or he just finds another, way. But I have blocked several profiles. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And have you taken photos or screenshots of these messages?
Yes.
And did you give them over to Pittsfield Township Police Department?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And Your Honor, I'm going to ask for permission to share my screen. These are previously stipulated exhibits.
Yes, go ahead.
And Ms. Carter, can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So I'm going to scroll up to the top of the page. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
And do you recognize these two chats on either side?
Yes. Yeah, that's the same conversation, but yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so at the top, whose name is that?
It's Cayavelli Levante, but it's Christopher's is one of his pages. It's one of his little like monikers or whatever.
And how do you know that?
From past dealings with him, and from the photo, and from the fact that he's made several profiles under not only his name, Christopher Kelly, but under similar things to like this KLs and whatever.
Okay. And did you receive all these messages from Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
And did you ever respond to these messages that are on the screen?
Not these in particular. I did not respond online, no.
Okay.
There have been previous ones I did respond to, one of which I even did threaten him that I would go to the police about this matter if he didn't leave me alone. And
do you see these two matters on the screen as well now?
Yeah, yep. The one on the left is like the end of that conversation that had like came through the Instagram. That was like at the beginning of like January of, what was that, 2021? This other one is an old message from Facebook a long time ago. Looks like when it started. Well, yeah, it's back in 2014.
And if you direct your attention to the exhibit the part of the exhibit on the left, do you have a child with Mr. Kelly? No, I do not have a child with Mr. Kelly. And have you ever discussed having a child with him? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And does Mr. Kelly have a personal relationship with your mother? No, he does not. He has never met my mother. And do you see these two things on the screen now? Yes, I do. And do you recognize these? Yep, I do. This was particularly scary for me because he said, "Cassandra, I want to see you," and then he left numbers that were one off from my address at the time. So it just, obviously that wasn't a phone number. It to me was him telling me he knew where I lived and he could come like to see me, but I never provided him with my address. So. And had Mr. Kelly ever been to your address at that point? No, not at that apartment, no. And do you see these two messages? Mm-hmm. And yes, where are these from? This is from Facebook as well. Like I said, you see the top is like that KL is like one of his little
monikers, whatever, his personalities, whatever. But yeah, this is one time where I was like really frustrated, and I've tried everything. I've tried to ignore it, threaten him with the police, have my boyfriend talk to him. I've done it all. And so yeah, this was one where I was pretty fed up.
And do you see this on these two new ones on your screen?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
and can I direct your attention to the left-hand side?
Yes.
Have you ever made phone calls besides the ones that you stated earlier that you had your boyfriend at the time call him? Have you ever made personal phone calls to Mr. Kelly?
No, I haven't. And then that number that I provided there, that 281-330-8004, it's a joke. It's Mike Jones' phone number. Like, it's an old rapper, and that's what he used to say. It's not a real working number. It's like, it's a joke. You know what I'm saying? So I just put that down. But I've never called that number. I've never spoken with him. But if you can see on that right side, he has tried to call me through these apps as well. It's not just messaging.
And have you answered any of these phone calls?
No, absolutely not.
And how do when he calls you on the apps, how do those phone calls make you feel?
Just violated, like annoyed. Again, confused, because I just don't know why after so many years this is like a thing at all. I really just don't understand it. I mean, like, we were literal children. It really wasn't that deep. It's been like, what, 20 years, damn near. I mean, I just don't understand.
And at any time, did you invite Mr. Kelly over to your home?
No, not at this point. No, actually, no. I never did invite him over. Nope. Even back then, when I was like younger, when I met him.
Okay. And at any point, did Mr. Kelly send you a photo?
Yes. That was probably one of the most disturbing things I've received from him so far.
And why was that photo disturbing?
It's a girl on her knees in the middle of giving him, I guess, oral sex. But in particular, the girl she does not look happy. Like, it just looks like she's not like willingly participating. It looks like she's not fully aware. Like, it just doesn't look good. It looks like she's almost like being forced to do it. So to have, and just to make it clear, like, when you have someone constantly telling you they want like sexual relations with you, and you told them no multiple times, after a while it feels like a threat. So like, to keep getting these messages and then also being shown a photo like that, like, it's very distressing. Like, I don't even know what that was supposed to mean or do, like, when he sent that to me.
And earlier you had testified that you had blocked several people that you believe to be Mr. Kelly on various social media sites. Yes. Do you see the photo on the right?
Yes, I see part. Yeah, there's part of it. There's a few profiles, but I feel like there's definitely more to that list.
Okay. So is this some of the list that you have blocked because you believe that this was Mr. Kelly?
Yeah, they were. It was either the profiles he contacted me from. So it was him, and I blocked them. And then I also went a step further because I got tired of him having 80 profiles to contact me from. I would search it, and if I found anything else that was out there, like, say I blocked this one, and then I searched in a little bit, something else would pop up, I would just block that, like, off the jump, because I did not want to be contacted. So, and I didn't want. So,
do you see that these two photos as well?
Yeah. Yep.
And are these all other profiles that you blocked as well because you believe they were Mr. Kelly?
The other names on there, like, they don't count or whatever, like the Sean, the Fats, whatever. But everything 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those are his, plus the other section that I showed you. So that was like another at least 4 listed up there. So that's like 12 profiles right there that I blocked so far.
And do you see these?
Yeah.
Are those also profiles you believe were related to Mr. Kelly that you blocked?
Yes.
And has everything that I've shown you been a fair and accurate depiction of the screenshots you received or the screenshots you took and the messages you received from Mr. Kelly?
Yes. Mhm.
Your Honor, I don't have any further questions for this witness at this time. And I'm sorry,
Examine.
the people would also move to admit people's exhibits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
All right. Any objection to the exhibits?
No, none.
Exhibits 1 through 6 are admitted. Cross-examination.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Carter. My name is Silvana Reed. I am a public defender and I represent Mr. Kelly. And I just have a couple of questions for you that I'd like to follow up on. The first one is how did you come to know Mr. Kelly?
I met him at Pine Lake at a community center party. I was in like 8th grade at the time. A friend of mine named Tierra Warren, she has family out there because I was like on the other side of the town. I'm not from out there in Ann Arbor. I was staying at Ipsy. So I had went out there for like a party with some friends essentially, and he was there as well.
And do you know what year that was?
I can tell you I was like 12 or 13. I can't tell you the exact year, but I know I was like 12 or 13 years old.
Okay. And would you describe your relationship with Mr. Kelly as romantic, platonic, or maybe more just an acquaintance?
I mean, it's kind of a joke to describe it as like romantic because to talk about 2 13-year-old kids dating or whatever is kind of a joke to me. But I mean, I guess you could say that, I guess.
At that time?
Yeah, at that time.
And then at what point would you say that the romantic portion of the relationship ended?
I mean,
Again,
Chris
if you
just
would even
kind of seemed to
categorize it.
have moved on to somebody else. I had heard some things in between, so I hadn't dealt with him. The biggest thing I think that like when I really stopped dealing with him was he had came like back to me, and I was like right after his brother had passed, and like was looking for some sympathy or whatever. And so I felt bad for him, and so I started kind of like talking to him again. And then he was dealing with another girl named Kristen, who had developed like a pretty good reputation for fighting girls. And long story short, it came to my attention later that he incited violence against me through her, told her to try to break my nose, which she did attempt to do when we fought at a community center party in downtown Ann Arbor on my freshman year of high school. So I would say after that, that was like the absolute last straw.
And so when was the last time that you had wanted contact with Mr. Kelly?
Let's see, it was a couple months before that fight. I was like maybe 14 or 15 because it was like around my freshman year. It was kind of like around that time when everything had came up. Because I remember when me and her got in the fight, it was freshman year, and I think it was still like fall when we fought. So it was around that time sometime. I can't give you the exact
Just
year.
so that I'm clear, what year would your freshman year of high school have been?
Well, I graduated 2007, so I'm thinking 2003, 2004.
Okay, thank you. I was just trying to place a context around it.
I know it's a lot of math to do because it was so long ago.
Yeah, that's so long ago. That's okay. No, I get what you're saying, but
yeah.
Okay.
No matter how old you are, 20 years is 20 years. So and is it true that at some point during the time when Mr. Kelly was messaging you, you or someone associated with you had contact with his parents?
Did she freeze? She's frozen. Hold on.
Sorry, hold on.
Miss Carter? Oh, there you are. You're back. Okay.
I think her connection is.
Yes. It's the other one. See her chief wrote.
All right. I think she's there now.
Okay.
It's stabilized. Go ahead and ask your last question, Ms. Reed.
Okay, thank you. Is it true that at some point during the time when Mr. Kelly was sending you these messages, you or someone associated with you, I believe you had mentioned possibly your boyfriend, had contact with Mr. Kelly's parents?
Now you're muted. I think you came back to us and you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, that's true.
Oh.
That is correct. His dad was texting my boyfriend's phone because I wouldn't do it on my phone.
Okay. And is it true that Mr. Kelly's parents informed you, or his father, I believe, informed you of his mental health issues?
He informed me of his mental health issues in addition to his drug use. And he did so in a way that he just didn't want to see Christopher get in trouble. He felt like Christopher's behavior was just immature behavior. So he was basically trying to deter me from pursuing this case.
And did his father let you know that his parents understood that his behavior was problematic?
Yes, I mean, he acknowledged that he has the issues, but again, to me, it sounds like they just don't want to see him get in too much trouble for it. It's like, I know this is going to happen. He does these things, but again, that's their problem to deal with. That's not mine.
And did they inform you that they were going to discuss it with him and ask him to stop contacting you?
He said that he was reaching out to him, but he kept hanging up on them and that he was not receptive. So anytime anyone tells him to leave me alone or try to talk about this issue with him, he's not receptive. So there was nothing that they can do or did, really.
Since this case has begun, have you had any contact from Mr. Kelly?
As in his father or as in him?
As in him, Christopher Kelly.
As in him, not direct contact, but one thing I found particularly disturbing was after this started and he was on the no contact order for me already, he still went ahead and made a brand new Instagram page. So now we've hopped on Facebook and went to Instagram and then was monitoring my stories. But
he's had no contact with you, correct?
But you can't be on there watching my stories. You shouldn't be on my page at all. Like, why are you watching my stories trying to see where I'm at, what I'm doing? People post locations, events, different things. I work in a field where
he has not had direct contact with you. Is that correct?
No, he has not. Since the no contact order has been placed, no, he has not.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Anything additional?
No, Your
from
Honor.
the people? All right. Thank you. Well, I just want to be clear, Ms. Carter.
Mhm.
From 2004, at least through 2021, mid 2021, so 2 years ago, which is the framing of the complaint. You've had unwanted contact from the defendant.
Yes.
And I'm to understand that periodically, either through someone else or I don't think there was any contact that I saw that you indicated you didn't want any contact directly to the defendant, right? That was two questions. Let me break that apart.
Okay, wait.
Is there a point at which you told the defendant you no longer wanted contact between those years, between 2004 and 2021?
Yes. One of the text messages that we had went over today when I was like, this is where I was getting pretty like fed up and frustrated. That was definitely one of the times where I very strongly expressed that I did not want to be bothered.
Right. Okay.
And that I would take means, and I would take like means to not be bothered as well. So I've tried every means. I've tried to ignore him. I've tried to cuss him out, threaten him, told him leave me alone. I've tried to have my boyfriend do it. I'm getting y'all involved. I did it all.
Okay, that's what that was sort of the next part of my question. There was a boyfriend or somebody on your behalf that also contacted to say you didn't want to be contacted.
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Any questions based upon the court's questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Carter.
Thank you.
All right. Any additional witnesses for the people?
Not at this time. I may need the officer for rebuttal.
All right. Any witnesses for the defense?
Mr. Kelly, I would just like to confirm you still would like to testify. I believe you're muted. Could you unmute?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I want to.
Okay. I would call Mr. Kelly to stand.
All right. Mr. Kelly,
Yeah.
raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yeah, I do.
All righty. Thank you. You may go ahead and inquire, Ms. Carter.
Thank you. Mr.
Sure.
Kelly, I understand that you do have certain things you wanted to talk about today, but I want to start by giving the court a little bit of background. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. Can you tell me when you were born?
I was born July 29th, 1989 in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
And where did you go to school?
I went to school at Ann Arbor Public Schools,
What year did you graduate?
2007.
And so I believe you're 33 now. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And can you tell me a little bit about what you've been doing since graduating from high school?
Well, I sent my music out to a few major labels and got in contact with them. We're trying to work the situation out. I've been in schools, secondary, college, education, and working odd jobs.
Okay. And where were you enrolled in school for your secondary education?
Washington Community College.
And what did you study there?
Well, right now I'm a liberal arts transfer. I only have like a semester or two before I transfer over to Eastern. The liberal arts program is like a transfer program. So they just get you ready to go to a university or another school.
And so it's your hope then to transfer to Eastern Michigan University then?
It is.
Okay. And can you tell me a little bit about, obviously this case is regarding some of the messages that you sent to Ms. Carter, either on Facebook or Instagram. Can you tell me how long you've known Ms. Carter?
I've known Cassandra probably since 2001. I was her boyfriend throughout the years and we were involved.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit more about your relationship with her over time?
Yeah. We had liked each other. We went to separate schools, but our schools would usually have extracurricular activities like basketball games. And I was on the basketball team back then, and she would go to the games.
Okay. And at what point would you say, you said that you were in a relationship, correct?
Right.
And what time frame would you say that relationship lasted for?
Probably from like 2003 to like the end of high school.
Okay. And since then, what has your relationship with her been like?
I haven't seen Cassandra since like 2013. I was at Panera Bread on Washington with a friend, and she had walked into the same place, and that's the last time I've seen her.
And can you tell me why you sent so many messages on social media to her?
The messages honestly are old. I had spoke to Officer Cole, and he kind of made a pact with me that if I didn't contact Cassandra from the time that he told me to in January 2021, that no charges would come about. I kept my integrity and didn't reach out to her, but he didn't keep his.
Can you tell me why prior to that conversation with Officer Cole that you sent so many messages?
I sent some messages to try to regain contact with her. we hadn't seen each other in a while, so I was just thinking that maybe we could get back together. And so I sent some messages, but I had never called Cassandra on her cell, never texted her on her cell, um, never used means of communication to threaten her because no threats were ever made, and I never
I
used
understand.
any.
I understand.
And I,
But let's just focus on the messages for right now.
Alright.
What was your understanding? She would send some messages asking you to stop. What was your understanding of what she meant by those messages?
Well, like I was saying, I mean, I never used means of communication to harass her because she was hitting me up. She had asked me for my phone number at a time, and then there's another message where she had said that she would have my child if I pretty much ate her groceries, which I'm believing means eat her vagina. And also had hit me up on occasion throughout the time I had sent her the message.
So just to clarify, when you received a message back from her, you thought that warranted a response, that meant that she wanted to continue the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me about why you created the new Facebook profiles?
Well, I already had a lot of pages. It wasn't for any specific reason. Sometimes I make a page and I like it, so I make a new page. And I have a lot of pages on Facebook, so it's not just to contact her. It's just that I have a lot of pages on Facebook as it is, just for whatever reason.
Okay. And did you ever want to threaten Cassandra with the messages that you sent?
No. Me and Cassandra, I mean, we've been estranged because we haven't seen each other or talked to each other, but I never felt like I was just sending a message to try to get back in contact with her, not to be annoying or to threaten her or anything like that.
And did you ever intend to scare her with any of the messages that you sent?
No.
And ever since you had that conversation with Officer Cole, you have not had contact with her. Is that correct?
Correct.
That is all, Your Honor.
All right, cross-examination.
Mr. Kelly, you stated that your relationship with Miss Carter ended in high school.
Well, I mean, it was kind of open.
No, Mr. Kelly, it's a yes or no question. Did your relationship end sometime in high school with Miss Carter?
Somewhat, but not necessarily.
Okay, yes or no?
Not necessarily.
Okay, can you explain not necessarily? When did your relationship end with Miss Carter?
We never really had like a breakup or an end. We were estranged and weren't really having too much contact with each other.
So are you stating that you still believe you're in a relationship with Miss Carter?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
So when is the end of your relationship?
It's hard to say. Like, we were in high school and she would come over to my place.
Okay, thank you. So you were in high school.
Yeah.
So if your relationship ended around high school period of time, you're saying that you sent these messages because you felt like you could get back together with her after seeing her one time at Panera?
Can you repeat that one more time for me, please?
Yes. So you stated that your relationship was over around the period of high school.
I mean, I'm not saying.
And then the next time you saw her in person was at Panera Bread. Is that correct?
The last time I've seen her in person was Panera Bread, correct. But I can't really say when our relationship ended because we were open to talking to each other again. When I had seen her, we talked and we never said it was we never ended the relationship, saying that we'd never get back together. It was a possibility or hope that if things happen, if things were different.
So when Miss Carter told you to stop contacting her and she was going to get a restraining order against you, you thought she wanted to be in a relationship?
No, I was confused. I was kind of confused because she was sending me messages saying, hey Chris, what's your phone number? She had went over to my grandmother's house on the day she made the police report with whoever she was with. And
Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
uh,
So you saw the messages that I put on the screen, correct?
no, I wasn't able to see them clearly. No.
Okay, so I'll read some of them to you, and you can tell me if you recall saying these things.
Okay.
From this is one from January 11th. The only thing I regret is loving you since 2001, you bum ass bitch.
What about it?
Did you send that message to Miss Carter?
Yeah.
And do you believe that someone who received that message would take that as a loving comment?
No.
And do you believe that that sounds intimidating and or would annoy someone to be called a bum ass bitch?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Do you believe that if someone received this message and was called this name, that would annoy them or disturb their peace?
The words aren't kind, no, and I apologize. But I don't know how she would feel. I can't tell you, to be honest.
I'm not asking you how Miss Carter would feel. I'm asking you how you think someone would feel.
It's hard to say. I mean,
okay. And if you knew that you were blocked from Miss Carter's account, is that correct?
No, I didn't know that.
So you didn't send a message that said unblock me, baby girl?
I don't have all the messages in front of me, so I couldn't say.
Okay. So if I told you that I have the message that I showed on the screen earlier that you couldn't see that said unblock me, baby girl, would you deny sending that?
Do I deny sending it? No.
So if you're asking someone to unblock you, don't you think that means they don't want to have contact with you?
I mean, honestly, contacting a person on Facebook, not speaking as far as like right now, but like to hit somebody up on Facebook, try to get back in contact, it's not a crime.
I'm not saying that's a crime. That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you if someone blocked you and you are asking them to unblock you, what do you think the reason is that they blocked you in the first place?
I don't have that answer.
So do you think someone would block you because they want to be in a relationship with you?
I mean, it's like, I don't know how she felt when she blocked me. I can't tell you that.
Okay. And you stated that you made a bunch of Facebook profiles or social media profiles because you just didn't like the other ones.
Right.
So once you were blocked on one account, wouldn't you think that she would want to block you on all other accounts?
I mean, I'm not up to date with social media privacy and stuff like that, so I can't tell you.
Okay, so when Miss Carter wrote to you, I'm done with this, I've been done, you want charges, that's on you, and you responded, I need you.
I mean, I was trying to talk to her to let her, I was just, can you just ask your question again, please?
Do you believe that someone who wrote, "I'm done with this, I've been done," wants to have contact with you, Mr. Kelly?
I mean, we both said we were done at the time, but the contact, I mean, she would come over to my grandma's and she would contact me on, I'm not sure if it was Facebook
And when you sent a
or Messenger.
photo of a woman giving a blowjob to a man, what was your intent behind that?
To pretty much stop talking to her because I was hearing rumors that she was doing this and that, and pretty much that like we're kind of platonic throughout the years. I know I haven't had contact with her, but we're platonic throughout the years, and I didn't.
Do you think that sending that photo would be disturbing to a reasonable person?
Depends on how it depends on how they feel.
Okay. I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Any additional witnesses for the defense?
No.
Any rebuttal witnesses for the people?
Your Honor, I would just like to recall Ms. Carter briefly.
All right.
Hi. Yes. Hi.
Okay. Miss Carter, I just
Mhm.
remind you that you are still under oath.
Yes.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
You may proceed, Miss Kirby.
Ms. Carter, did you ever speak to Mr. Kelly about getting back together at Panera Bread?
No, and I don't recall seeing him at a Panera Bread, so I don't know if it's a situation where like he's seen me and we didn't like interact with each other, but I do not recall that encounter. No.
And Ms. Carter, were you contacting him on social media, asking to see him or asking to get back together at any point?
No, ma'am. Like I said, you can go back through any record that you want, phone, any social media. I've never tried to maintain any type of contact with this person.
And Ms. Carter, were you going over to Mr. Kelly's grandmother's house and hanging out with him at his grandmother's house?
There was like one time I went over there, but that was back when we were teenagers, back when like we were dealing with each other. But other than that, no, I have not been going over there. I've not been hanging with him. No, we did not date in high school. No, there was none of that.
And so you're saying you've never been to his grandmother's house, at least since 2014?
Yeah, I mean, even before then, it was way before then even, yeah. But yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
No further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
All right, Miss Reed, hold on, Miss Carter. Miss
Okay,
Reed,
sorry.
any questions for Miss Carter?
I would just like to ask Ms. Carter, does she admit to sending that text message or message on social media message regarding the eating of the groceries that Mr. Kelly mentioned during his direct examination?
I sent it to be rude. It was in the conversation when I was going off about everything. And for
Okay,
correcting groceries,
I just wanted to know if you sent that
groceries
message
is
or
ass.
not.
It's not eating vagina, it's eating an ass.
I
So let's correct that too.
I'm sorry, what did you just, hold on, Miss Carter, okay? I can't hear both of you. So you asked your question, Miss Carter, what was your response about the groceries?
My full response, thank you for letting me finish, was that I sent that message, and the reason why I sent that is because saying eat the groceries is saying eat my ass. It was not any type of sexual invitation to do anything. It was really an insult. So just to be clear on that.
Okay. Anything else, Miss Reed?
That is all.
All right, thank you, Miss Carter.
Thank you.
All right. Any other additional witnesses for the people?
No, Your Honor.
Closing arguments.
Your Honor, I believe the people have proved beyond a reasonable doubt that between the period of January 1st, 2014 to January 20th, 2021, in the city of Pittsfield, county of Washtenaw, that Mr. Kelly was harassing Ms. Carter via telecommunications. he was doing this with the intent, as he testified himself, that he sent the photo of the obscene image of the woman. He doesn't know how someone would feel, but it depends on your relationship. And he did that to end the relationship, intending, you can use circumstantial evidence to show that there was malicious use behind that. He did send numerous messages, including through Facebook, Instagram. There's People's Exhibits 1 through 6, showing the vulgar and obscene language that he was using, showing that Miss Carter had told him numerous times she did not want to speak with him. She wanted to get a restraining order against him. You heard Miss Carter testify that she was frightened, she was terrorized, she was annoyed, and she was disturbed. And you heard Mr. Kelly also say that he did call her names and that was not appropriate, and you heard him apologize for that. I would ask that this court find the defendant guilty of telecommunications services malicious use, count 1. Thank you.
Response.
Thank you, Your Honor. I understand that this is a bench trial, but the model criminal jury instructions for malicious use of telecommunication services state that the prosecutor must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant intended to terrorize, frighten, intimidate, threaten, harass, molest, annoy, or disturb the peace and quiet of the complainant. Mr. Kelly has testified that he never intended to do any of those things. I do understand that Miss Carter has expressed that she did feel that way as she received some of these messages, but Mr. Carter never intended to make her feel that way. In his view, as you can see, there were at least 2 messages that we brought up where she responded in a way that he might perceive as warranting further contact. She mentioned the joke telephone line. I'm not certain that my client understood what she meant by that when she put that number. He thought she gave him her telephone number in order to contact him, or for him to be able to contact her. Additionally, the statement that Miss Carter has implied that she shared again in a rude manner. Colloquially, I believe that the term eating the groceries is known commonly to be a sexual act. And given that Mr. Kelly has a different perception of the way that the conversation was going, it's very easy to see how he could interpret both of those messages from her as ones that would indicate that she was a willing participant in the conversations. I know that you are aware of some of the concerns surrounding Mr. Kelly's situation. I don't want to go into detail about that, but it would be a disservice for me to not mention those details and the concern that I have for Mr. Kelly, as well as his mother, who is his guardian. She's been wrought with fear since the beginning of this case that her son is going to go to jail. She's worked endlessly to make sure that he has connections in the community so that he can live as healthy and stable of a life as possible. And her fear is that if he goes to jail, he would deteriorate. And if he spends that time in jail and is then released to the community, he would be in a much worse state. His struggles have made it difficult for him to find stability and to appreciate how his actions, including these messages in question, are perceived by others, as is noted during his examination and cross from Ms. Kirby. But he does do very well when he is supervised. And as you can see, he has discussed the conversation he had with Officer Cole about promising not to have contact. And he does, I believe at this point, now that there is court involvement, understand that the contact is not wanted, and he has followed those court orders. So again, it is just our argument that Mr. Kelly never intended to harm or scare Ms. Carter, nor did he have any other malicious intent when he was sending the messages. He had an honest belief that he was simply having a conversation with a long-lost love and trying to share the depth of his feelings with her. And we just hope that whatever the outcome is, that we can keep it in the best interest of all of the parties that Mr. Kelly is able to continue receiving the services that help him live a healthy and stable life. And with that, Your Honor, we would ask that you find Mr. Kelly not guilty.
All right. Before I hear a response, can I see counsel in chambers, please? All right. I think prior to the court reaching its verdict or rendering its verdict, there's been a resolution of this matter. The court's understanding is that there would be an agreement that the court would enter a verdict of disorderly person, the 90-day $500 offense, which I think the factual circumstances of the trial clearly indicate the court could find the defendant guilty of, should the court so choose to do that. And also, as part of that, since it is a reduction into the current offense, that the defendant would be agreeing to the entry of a personal protection order with the protected party being Ms. Carter for a period of 5 years. I think I have stated that. There would also be a probationary period that would come along with the disorderly person finding. Mr. Reed, is that your understanding?
That is, in fact, my understanding, and that is what I discussed with Mr. Kelly in the breakout room. Mr. Kelly, can you unmute and confirm with the court that that is what you were agreeing to?
Yes, it is.
All right. And Mr. Kelly, do you also agree that as to the entry of the 5-year PPO, that the prosecutor's office would have their permission or your permission so that they can enter this immediately and we can get this thing moving forward, to sign your name to that consent to the personal your consent to the personal protection order can be evidenced by the prosecutor signing your name to that consent, to that personal protection.
When would I have to sign it?
Pardon?
When
This
would
would
I
be
have
the-
to sign?
The prosecutor would sign on your behalf if you give her permission.
Yes.
Yes,
I
do.
said a whole lot of words there, but that's really what I meant. That the
Okay.
You're giving the prosecutor permission to sign on your behalf.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, you do. Okay,
Yes.
You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. And so that's what we will do. Also, I think only because I want to make sure we've got all the bases covered. Miss Carter, you're still there? She left us. Okay, there you are. All right. Well, okay. Miss Carter, you heard the agreement and you had an opportunity, and I'm doing this because of certain victims' rights things, and I just want to make sure we're covered. And this solution would be acceptable to you, ma'am?
Yes, that's all I wanted.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Then the court will make a finding and find the defendant based upon the proofs in this case guilty to the charge of disorderly person. That would be the added count 2. Count 1 would be dismissed. I will refer the defendant to probation for a pre-sentence investigation and report. Sentencing in this matter will be May 24th, 2023, 9 a.m. That will be via Zoom. Okay?
Okay.
Mr. Kelly, I need you and your guardian to stay there for a second. And I've had probation intake come into the breakout room so that we don't have any hiccups in this. I'm going to put you and your guardian into probation intake, and they're going to get some information and other stuff from you so we can proceed on May 24th. Okay, sir?
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Officer Cole, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. And Ms. Carter, thank you. And all of you have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Defendant referred to.
Right. I will see you tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am. It's been quite a day.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, take care. 14A stands in recess, correct?
Correct.
I'm in recess.